episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
I would always say, like, I want 2 or 3 husbands so I could have one for this kind of thing where we go on adventures together and whatever. I want a husband where we can, be quiet, intellectual, like talk about philosophy all the time thing.
Right.
I want like an active husband, a thinking husband, and basically like my spiritual partner husband.
That sounds great to me.
Right? And then the plus side of it is that you guys are all sharing kids together, and then they can watch the kids while you go do things with your other husband.
Yeah, a weekend away here and there with the other hubs.
And then the 2 hubs can hang out with each other.
They're all best friends.
Yeah.
Fire times, bonfire.
Yeah.
Come on.
Gather around the campfire.
Yeah. Hey, broads.
Yep. So anyway.
Anywho.
Hey, broads, what's up? Tell me. I do.
Becca and I were we were sitting down to start the podcast, and then per what normally happens is that we get into an intense conversation that lasts for about like an hour before the podcast. Yeah. And then
does happen every now and then.
Yeah, every once in a while it happens. And then, it's like, why aren't we just recording this right now?
I don't know. So I was like, let's start it. We don't usually start in the middle of conversation, but I was like, Jess, run the...
But we were talking about having different husbands.
Just
not different. More
husbands. Yes, actually, that's what we were saying.
Yeah, more.
I am just curious because, and then Jess and I were also saying before we started recording, of course, there's something you could always add to there's never a perfect partner or even perfect partners. Even if you had 5 husbands, you're never going to be fulfilled by.
Right. As Kenny says, it's not always greener on the other side.
Yeah, it's true.
I heard that he created that quote.
You also have to be fulfilled by yourself before any partner.
I think that's the biggest thing.
But if you had to craft a second husband to live in your home, what would you have that husband be like?
Okay, so this is the husband who this person lives in the home with me.
This is like a second husband who's friends with Evan, and you guys have a it's like a threesome, but Evan and him don't have a sexual relationship.
Got it.
Anything like that.
Okay.
They're friends. He is your other husband.
Okay.
I think they call that like a V partnership.
A V partnership?
Yeah, because then it's like you are connected to these 2 people and they are not connected to each other.
Okay, but we're all living in the same home.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 2 very different concepts.
Okay, tell me.
My first is this like kind of quiet gentleman who is like loves carpentry. Mm-hmm. Jesus. He'll pray with me. He'll pray over me. Because Evan is so talented in so many ways. One of the things that Evan is not gifted in and or doesn't have interest in is like fixing things.
So this is like a handyman's of sorts.
Yes, and not even just like the guy that fixes stuff, but like the guy who's like hey, the backyard, like, I think we should add this, and like, should we paint the wall, and likes to kind of have projects.
Let's make a
like
second
that.
story.
Yes.
I'm going to spearhead this.
And gets motivated by that, because I can get very lazy in those ways, and I need someone to motivate me.
I find that very sexy when a man is like that, or just very cool.
Yes. Oh my God. There was one of the guys that I was dating once. I did not like, I've talked about him before. I didn't like anything about him. It was definitely a rebound. But one thing about him that I did enjoy was one time I was over at his house, and he like pulled out from underneath his bed, and he opened this like blueprint, and he's like, I have had this sketched for years. This is my dream home. Like, this is what I want. And he had it fully sketched out. He was like gonna work on becoming like an architect, and that wasn't like what he was in school for, but he was also going to study that on the side as well. And like, he wanted to build his own dream home. And I was like, that's really hot that you have
very cool.
this like idea of like building it with your own hands, and that
And
you
being patient about it too.
yes.
I am so the type of person who I want to cut corners in every project, you know? Like if I can't do it that day or that hour, forget it, you know? So I'll cut corners, but then there's some people who will do everything just right to make it look perfect.
Yes.
And neither Gray and I have that.
Neither do Evan and I don't have that either. And like the idea of a guy who like puts on that final tile so perfectly and then just stares at it. This man would also be the type of guy who would want to be like, let's go get a cabin for the weekend and like sit by the fire and just like sit quietly.
To absorb nature.
Yes. And help me to like be still sometimes. And calm down.
He like makes delicious meals and brings them out to you while you're sitting out there.
Yes.
He's sort of this like very specific type of sanctuary of sorts.
Exactly. Because I can be very like in my head and like busy bee. Not that I'm even like getting anything done. It's just like my energy. And so I'm like, the idea of having, you know, a husband who's like, let's just stare out at the skyline for like an hour to like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the one side. On the other side,
floating in robes, he's just like, you know, hovering above the ground.
Yes.
Just like, Jess.
But he has like construction boots on.
He's actually a ghost.
That's who's been visiting us. And then on the flip side, the other idea
like
of the
P.
husband
Swayze.
is
isn't it Patrick Swayze? Wait. Oh, please, guys, don't come for me. Isn't he in Ghost?
Yes,
Demi
he
Moore?
is. He is. Yeah.
So kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's a man who's you guys are doing pottery together.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Though then flip side is a very different energy. Flip side husband actually is a little intimidating and is like you know, CEO lawyer kind of vibes where like he's always fucking busy and he's just kind of, but there's always like an event and I'm his event wife because I love a party and I'm just like showing up and like helping with this and that and, you know, mingling, doing that whole thing.
And he and Evan get along because they like smoke cigars in the backyard and talk about like
they talk about business.
Stocks.
They talk about money. They talk about business. But he is very, you know, it's like the type of guy that they would normally like kind of cringe at. But the idea of being able to be a +1 sometimes sounds fun.
And he's kind of like, babe, we're going to take you out and get you a new dress for this thing tonight. Come on, get in the car.
He sends a car to pick me up and then is like, buy whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's not even along for the ride.
No.
He's
and
like,
honestly, he doesn't
He's
even,
like, send me a pic.
Honestly, he doesn't even really care about me that much. It's just more of like a party cash thing.
Meanwhile, the reason Evan gets along with the first guy is he's like, my home looks amazing.
He's like, oh my God, I've never felt better in my space.
I have never, is this radish? That is just, you know, I never would have, that is so unexpected in this dish.
That combination, like I can taste the notes of everything. And normally I'm not a fan, but wow. You know how to really make
magic. At a gathering and he's like, you know what? Call up Tobin. Listen. You know what? Call up Tobin. He always, ask him if you think we should do the cab or the Pinot Noir. Babe, text Tobin. You guys, you would not believe the caviar that he brought home the other day.
He just, every time he's on Chatty Bros, all he talks about is how amazing Tobin is. God, Tobin. Well, you know, he's everything. Anywho.
Tobin. Oh my God.
Okay, what about you? What's in that exact scenario?
If I have to pick just one, we were kind of.
You're like, there was a list of about 75.
I mean, there's lots of great men out there. Grayson is one of them, but you know, why have one when you could have 6?
Sure, this is a fantasy.
This is a fantasy.
We're exploring. We're just having a conversation.
Definitely someone who is on the quieter side, just because Gray and I are not quiet. So someone who's on the quieter side. I love a guy who's quiet, but when you get to know him, he's funny. Obviously has to be funny.
What a fun surprise that is.
I think Grayson's funny too, but anyone I'm with has to be kind of funny. But I think that something I was telling Jess is I think I would want someone who's very more into like spiritual things, is always like maybe holding me accountable to the point of being a little bit annoying, where they're like,
Oh,
you
okay.
really said that you wanted to start journaling every night. Like, let's make some time to do that. You know, maybe you should get off your phone. What if we actually make a rule where you have to put the phone in the basket at 9:30? You know,
And he's like, okay.
basically a parent.
I'm
someone
looking for
who
a
is a
parental figure
parent
to make
to
sure
me.
that they keep me accountable with my shit. Make sure my taxes get paid on time.
Yeah, Grace pretty good at that, but yeah. Okay, but actually, like, that kind of thing would be nice. And then I would say someone who is a meticulous planner would be really great too.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this is a glorified personal assistant is what I'm envisioning.
But it's also cute.
Who wants to have, a personal assistant who's really into like intense tantric sex. That's sort of what I'm looking for.
I mean, it sounds pretty idyllic.
Like, I don't actually know if I want him on our vacations, but I want him to be like you guys.
Right.
Sort of like Tobin. I've got this mapped out for you. Don't even worry about it. This villa overlooking the ocean. Gray, I made sure that the clubs are already going to be there when you get there. Becca, I made sure that they, you know, whatever. There is a freestanding tub out on the balcony. You're going to love it, honey. And I'll be here looking over the cats while you guys are gone.
I made sure that it's facing east. I know how much you all love that. I feel like it helps center you a little more. I've noticed that about you. I noticed because I notice everything about you.
Open floor plan. Good. There's good lighting for selfies in both the bathroom and the kitchen. Which, by the way, you have a Vanity Planet ad coming up, so that's why I wanted to make sure that the bathroom has good lighting.
Oh, Apple Watch is going off. Yeah, okay. The ad you got that's due in about 30 minutes. So make sure.
Hey, let me take the kids.
Yeah.
Let me take them out for a walk right now. I made sure that the kitchen was clean and ready because this is for Blue Land. And
Do you need a snack? Because I know when your blood sugar gets a little. Do you need anything?
sweet potato crisps in the fridge.
Don't
Low
worry.
salt.
Everything's already in the fridge. It's already pre-made, pre-planned. I mean, this feels like a good scenario to me.
Yeah, it sounds
I feel
like
like if you
it sounds like
present it like
perfect.
that to Grayston, then it would probably be like, Grayston,
like,
imagine.
Let's look at the net benefits here.
Imagine the benefits.
Yeah. So
We have Tobin. This man's name is I'm just trying to picture him. He's
I think his name is just like Rick or something like that.
just Christopher.
David. Just something
David.
like super.
David, yeah,
David.
David.
Oh, we love David.
Yeah.
Grace
David-
is just like stroking his hair. He's like, oh, we just love David. It's just weird.
We love David so much. David makes sure that like the freshest of fruits are always.
He's got just like really long, like perfect hair. Like it's just like kind of flaxy golden, you know.
He can give you great hair care advice.
Both kids are just like asleep on his shoulder, and he's just like, don't worry about it. I got it. you guys."
He like is singing them to sleep.
He's like, you know what? Why don't you guys go out for dinner? I've got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got the fresh eggs that I got this morning from the chickens.
And it's wild because I was researching that chickens also actually respond very well to singing. So
Yeah.
this morning I woke up before the sun came
And the kids
out
are just like
and
chanting.
I sang to the chickens, and the eggs that they produced were just,
Look, he's my household manager.
Mm-hmm.
He's my confidant. He's my health coach.
no one can keep a secret like David.
No one can keep a secret like David. And, he's one of my best friends, and we just love him, We love him.
David is making sure that you always remember the 4 agreements.
Yeah.
David is making sure that you rise and have
He's
time
making sure
to
your
meditate.
word is impeccable.
Making sure that you do put your phone away. And, for us, Tobin
he's
and
our-
David are invaluable.
We need them. He's our couples counselor. He's like, hey, Rebecca, Gray, sit down. We need to have a conversation. I've been noticing some tension between the two of you. Let's talk it out.
I care about you both a
He
lot.
is Mark Wahlberg. I started
wish.
watching Temptation Island, which Jess had me watching.
If Mark Wahlberg, that's my perfect man.
Yeah.
The
He
perfect
is
man.
a great interviewer. You were not lying.
Mark Wahlberg asks all the best questions.
And has the best responses to them. Just
The best
crisp.
response. They're crisp. They're also, he doesn't just roll along with someone's nonsense either. Like he'll call it out, but still make them feel safe.
Right.
But like in a therapist type way where it's like almost like more of a call out that's like in a question form.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
It's like, well, that's not, it doesn't seem like you're giving, this isn't clear here. What is it you're trying to say?
the fact that he's not a doctor is shocking to me. I'm just
is he a therapist?
I don't think so.
This is surprising
This
to
is
me.
it's a true gift.
He seems like a marriage counselor.
Yes. 1000%. And if you follow him on social media, him and his beautiful relationship with his wife is just, it's 10 out of 10.
I'm watching season 3 right now, and so we haven't gotten through it, but with the football guy, the big beefy guy,
yes,
and his girlfriend, and they're talking about the girlfriend and her brother and everything, and the way he's just like, he's just got it all under control.
Mark Wahlberg is my father.
I wish he was my other father.
I won't accept anyone as a father but Mark.
Yeah,
Mark Wahlberg.
yes. I wish he was the other husband that my mom had. Not because I don't
God.
love my dad, but I love the addition to the family.
Exactly.
Things would be moving a lot more
Imagine
smoother in
if
our dynamics.
Mark Wahlberg was your mom's David. Life would have been.
Wow. You know? And then
See, this
he's my
is the shit
David,
we're
too.
talking about.
Yeah.
This is the shit. I would love to know, maybe the bros can answer this at the top of their episode this week.
I want to know.
Like, what
Describe
would
their other wife.
What would the other wife be?
I mean, it's quite fun. Yeah, no, but this season is... I'm not going to get into it because we're not recapping it, but can you believe what's his face? Who's just like, she said no rules. What's his name? Don't remember.
I'll be real with you. I binged all the seasons so quickly. I remember no one's name and I barely remember any of the storylines because I consumed it so aggressively and was so in that it's now kind of a blur. But I know who you're talking about.
Yes.
And I don't remember his name. And it was wild. I started with season 3 and I was just like, this is madness.
And I feel so awful for the football guy, though, too.
I know.
I'm like, he's trying so hard.
He's trying really hard. He
Can't
was
wait to see
trying
what
really
happens.
hard.
Okay.
Mark.
Was trying.
Mark.
Interesting. All right.
Okay, before we dive into some of the questions from you amazing broads, here's the thing. My first thought when friends of mine buy new homes, after congratulations, of course, is, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I don't have to furnish this place. The thought of putting together interior decor that is affordable and makes sense is so overwhelming. Well, it was so overwhelming. But that was before I was introduced to Article. Now, believe it or not, I am super confident in my ability to turn my space into the space of my dreams because I've done it already. I mean, with the help of Article, of course.
No, seriously, you guys, Article has completely changed the furniture shopping landscape because they combine the curation of a boutique furniture store with the comfort and simplicity of shopping online. So you truly get the best of both worlds. And also, instead of sorting through 500 sofas or 300 bed frames, or like on some websites, like 3,000, Article's design team focuses on just a few aesthetics like mid-century, Scandinavian, industrial, bohemian, so you can easily browse pieces that pair well together.
And we have to talk about the quality because I know from experience, online furniture shopping can be a toss-up, okay? But with Article, the quality is even more amazing than I could have expected, okay? The materials are quality, and every Article piece in my home is always the first to get compliments from guests. Plus, because Article takes out the middleman and sells directly to you, you can expect to save 30% over traditional retail prices. And to top it off, shipping is free on all orders over $999. Article is everything broads.
So Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. So like I always say, there's some awesome like accessory pieces on the website that you can get for like $110. Use our code. You're going to get that for almost half off. Anyway, go to article.com/chatty and the discount will be automatically applied out at checkout. Just go to article.com/chatty to get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
Most of the time when I shop online, it's things I will have to end up buying one way or another. Maybe it's a restock on household supplies or toiletries or pantry items, like really not all that exciting if we're being honest. But what is exciting is when I can save some money on those items that I have to buy anyway. Once I installed Honey onto my computer, I knew for sure I was always getting the best price on all of my online shopping and ended up saving money on items I never expected to. And who doesn't love that? Honey is saving all of us all the money, okay?
Okay, if you ever spent time clipping coupons or like Googling for codes at the last minute when you're checking out online, that's basically Honey in a nutshell, but a whole lot easier. Honey's a free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes. They apply the best ones to your cart each time you shop online. And I was really, really surprised at how often Honey's able to find savings. Honey supports 30,000 stores. Everything from gaming products to fashion brands, even food delivery.
And it is so easy to use. All you have to do is shop online, per usual. And when you get to that checkout page, a Honey button will drop down. So sweet. Just click apply coupons and watch Honey go to work. Within seconds, Honey will have scoured the internet and let you know what deals you may be missing. On my last big purchase of cleaning supplies, I know, boring, but absolutely necessary, I saved $12 using Honey. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I have to tell you, broads, in my home, Honey is happening numerous times a week, and I am always bewildered at the amount of money that I save with Honey.
If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds, and by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting our podcast. So get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/chatty. That's joinhoney.com/chatty.
Anyway, so thought we'd get into some questions.
Yes, you know what? Today it's a Tuesday for the broads. We're recording this. Just a reminder, we record these like a week in advance.
Yes,
so today is we're recording this on September 8th, Wednesday, the year 2022 of our Lord. 2021. I'm already in 2022. Well,
I know you get to the point where it's so shocking how it's already, 2021 that you start overcompensating and you're like, it is 2022 already.
I believe that it's 2022. I've started to do that with my age.
Oh yeah.
I've been having to look up recently how old I am.
I did have a moment where I was like,
age calculator.
am I 26? Yeah, like
I have it's like you hit a certain point and you're kind of like, well, and also the past 2 years have kind of been a wash.
With COVID, it's like you don't have any memorable markers for your birthday, generally speaking.
No. The milestones are the four walls of my home, and they've remained so. And Instagram. And Instagram is such a hot mess, and there's so much happening 24 hours a day that I don't know what year it is, and I don't know how old I am. Well, so as far as I know, it's 2027, and I'm 46, bitches.
Hell yeah. Let's get it. Speaking of which, I have a question I'd love to start with from Ari, actually, who we had on the show a couple times now.
Love you, Ari.
Ari says, where do y'all want to be in 40 years? Retirement fantasies, where you live, etc. And I'm loving this kind of fantastical thing we're doing here. Nothing's more fun, right?
Yeah, no.
40 years.
40 years.
So you are 52?
I'm 52.
40 years. God.
I'm almost 33, so 73. I hope I'm long gone.
I hope I've been dead for years.
Well,
God, wait, that actually does make our gap sound because I'm still fresh in my 60s.
You know what was funny is when we were talking about the other day, Piper and Natasha. Natasha is 33 and Piper is 24.
Oh.
And I was like, that's kind of close to us.
Yeah.
And that's so weird because I always forget that we have an age gap.
Yeah. It's not huge.
No, I mean, what is
6
it?
years?
6 years? Oh, yeah, I guess.
6.5 years.
Yeah, I always forget though. Yeah, you'll still be in your 60s.
I'll be 66.
You're still gonna be living life. You're gonna be, let's be real. The likelihood of where in 40 years we will be.
Isn't that terrifying though? Like we really could be dead in 40 years. Like when you start talking about 40 years, I get a little anxious.
I want you to know that I have been having daily anxiety about death. I don't know. I don't know what my problem is. Just like the idea of what happens after. It just has been plaguing me. Absolutely plaguing me.
Do you think at all about what I told you that one time where I was like, but what if we do have reincarnation and it's just pointless reincarnation?
I think
no
about
karma.
I think about it all the time.
I'm not so worried about that, but just the suffering here on Earth is all I can conceive
Sure.
of.
And in current times, with all the horrific things going on in this world, yeah.
Have there been times where there aren't horrific things going on in the world? Ever?
No, there's always horrific things going on in the world. I think with social media now, we're just very aware of everything. Yeah. I mean, before social media and before like the internet in general, all you really knew about was like, you know, this 5-mile radius around your home.
Granted, there are exponentially more people in the world, so which then there is more suffering in the world, just logically.
That's true.
But there's also more good things going in the world, logically.
True.
In theory.
The positive side.
In theory.
But to be honest, probably in 40 years where our retirement will be is likely on the moon. No, I'll be in a capsule floating.
Like, we're in Palm Springs, Mars. Palm Springs, Mars.
Come on, Mars. You know, when you make a left-hand turn.
Quadrant. Palm Springs in the fourth quadrant of the galaxy.
We will be...
Spacecraft 0567.
In 40 years, I will be ricocheting in a capsule through space. You will be
married to a hologram of Han Solo.
Yes, and I will no longer be in my human form. They will have removed my soul, and I will just be a capsule. And I'm part of a tray of other capsules. But I'm fully like aware of what's going on, and I'm aware that we're light speeding through time and sound, and that's probably where I'll be in 40 years. That's the likelihood.
Sounds miserable. I think I might have offed myself at that point if that's where we're at.
I mean, think about the advancements that we've had in just a short time period. If we continue on that path, also climate change. Okay. This is probably why I've been so scared lately.
Yeah.
We'll have to have relocated. Where will that be?
Are you excited by that or petrified by that?
It's a good question.
The only thing I'm scared of, this is where my brain goes. If we're living somewhere else, who gives a fuck? What I'm scared of, where my brain goes to, is when we have to leave the planet. It's like, get on board.
No.
That is what I don't want to go through.
It's like silent hell.
Meanwhile, I'm living in a bunker 50 feet below the earth.
Yeah. I'm not leaving. I am at the core of the earth. That's the concern. I feel the exact same way as you. If we figure out that we have destroyed our planet and we have to go elsewhere and we can relocate safely, then okay, that's fine. We'll all figure it out together. But human nature and the
only certain people are going to get on that new island in the sky.
Those the certain people, and it's basically just going to be the ultra rich.
But my fantasy then is that maybe down below society will collapse, but there will be a little time of war and distress. But then my hope, my prayer is that we will then return back into small hunter-gatherer societies with small groups of people. Nature will reclaim itself, and we will all be living like little nomadic lifestyles in our groups of 30 to 40 people.
And that sounds beautiful. That sounds lovely. So maybe that's in 40 years where we'll be. This is all going to happen very quickly.
Or, you know what? It's also one of those things where in the 70s, they're like, we're going to be, by the year 2000, we're going to be in like hovercrafts and like, whatever. And then it's like, well, life is very different, but how different is it?
How different will it actually be?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But, I'll probably be ricocheting through space or in Boca Raton.
Cool. Cool.
Where I would like to be in 40 years retired. That's a very good question. I'm gonna I know me, and if Ember will have me,
yes,
I'd want to be near my child.
Oh, that's sweet.
So, unless again she's like, please give me space, then I'd be like, all right, I'm not gonna follow you. But if if Ember was like, oh, I love California and I want to move to Northern California, I'd be like, okay, let's move to Northern California. If she's like, I want to move, to the East Coast.
I want to move to Mars.
I'm going to Mars. I'm following her to Mars. Love you forever. You know what I mean? I'm following her into her home in Mars. Obviously giving her a little bit of space. My sweet grandparents pulled the move when my family moved. They moved in the literal house next door. And that was a little much for my family. God bless their sweet souls. But it was a little much because they were kind of always in the house.
A mile away. But a couple miles away.
Yeah, just a
10-minute drive.
Yeah, a 10-minute drive just around the corner so that if she needs me at any time, I'm like, I'm here. You need babysitting? I'm here. You running your own business and you need, some stupid advice? I'm here. Whatever. I would just want to end my life near her. So sad.
Very sad. That's sweet.
What about you?
Have you ever seen Singapore? Have you ever seen any travel shows where they go to Singapore?
A little bit.
Okay, because Singapore could also be our possible future. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes.
It's one of the cleanest countries in the world. There's just like plants with skyscrapers
Absolutely
like everywhere.
Stunning.
So cool.
Absolutely stunning.
So in my hopefulness, I'm like, maybe that's where we'll be, but who knows?
Like if we get our shit together and we get
if the
people
global
in
elites
office,
decide they want to.
If we get people in office and the global elites decide that we're actually going to help fix this planet, and then we really get our shit together, maybe
I
that
think
will
the
be.
United States will have to like fraction off into pieces.
Probably
4 pieces.
We're too big.
That would be best. We're too big.
We're too big.
I need small government. Small land, small government. I don't even know. Okay, but 40. Oh God, I hate thinking so far in the future. I've even been thinking about this lately when we've been talking about getting married, because I'm like, Jesus Christ, Grayston. When you're getting married, then you're going to say 50 years from now, you're still going to be together?
I know.
Who the fuck knows what could happen in 50 years?
Nobody knows. Everyone changes.
Life changes. Life happens to you. You ever seen Manchester by the Sea? Their house burned down with their kids inside of it.
You never know.
You know?
You could have horrific tragedies. You could have just major
Change
life
everything
changes.
forever.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's just crazy when you're making decisions. I mean, I gotta say, the idea of marriage is ridiculous when you think about the fact that you've known someone maybe tops 10 years.
Yes.
And then you're committing to the rest of your life with them for the next 40 or 50 or 60 years? You're out of your goddamn mind.
It's a little much.
It's crazy.
Maybe you know what it should be. It should be like signing a contract, like a 5 year,
10 to 20 years.
And then after like 5 years, you get together and you're like, okay, are we gonna bump this to 10?
Right.
Or
right. In the contract, we're
some
like
compromises, right? Okay, well then I need this. We're gonna bump it to 10, and then you add on some years, and then you just check in.
Like a 10-year contract for marriage would be good.
Yeah. And if you want to renew it, great. If not, you wrap. You go find.
Probably save a lot of money in divorce. We're around year 8. What do you think? Are we going to renew?
And a lot of
in
people
2
then
years?
stay together because of how much divorce costs.
Exactly. So,
Contracts. Contract marriage. Now that is the wave of the future.
Is the future. I love it. We're going to sign a 5-year one, 10-year one, 20-year one.
It's your choice. You can do really whatever you want. If you want to sign an 1,000-year in blood contract with your partner, go for it.
What would be fantastic too is if each person brought their own terms to the contract in writing.
Is there a minimum
years?
Yes. Does it is 5 years a minimum? Okay.
Otherwise, what's the fucking point? You might as well just be dating, you know?
Because you can get an annulment up to what?
90 days.
Yeah.
Not much.
No, I guess not.
No.
I was like, you can get an annulment for the first 4 or 5 years, right?
Nope.
That's what I heard.
Anyway, so the thought of 40 years, I'm like, oh my God. I start to just... there's a lot of options. I'm seeing Costa Rica. I'm seeing, I think that what would be cool though is I would like to, if fostering was something that would work out for us, I would love to, even when we're in our 60s, still be fostering kids and where it would just be like our home is a home for children. And I would always like to be involved throughout the rest of my life, I would always love to be involved with the younger generations.
I think that's so good and so important.
You see so many people when they get older and they just don't interact with people who aren't their age anymore, aside from like occasionally their grandkids.
Yeah, and then that can get you stuck in a certain way of thinking.
Totally.
And also then like you then don't grow or change, and that's like the spice of life.
And that's when people are like, oh, that generation. It's like, no, you need to be able to tap into people with different experiences and different upbringings than you, of different ages with different perspectives, and like learn from them too.
Totally.
It's not like, yeah, I hate when people are always like, oh, you got to learn from older people, but older people don't have to learn from young people. That's silly. Young people have so much to offer too. So anyway, I'd like to still be involved with children somehow in some capacity. I'd probably like to be somewhere warm.
Everywhere's going to be warm.
Yeah, baby. We're going to move up to Seattle and it's going to be 80 degrees all year. Actually, Seattle probably won't exist anymore. It's a little too close to the coast.
Yeah, I probably would have
So we'll be in Montana.
Yes.
Or what if we go into like an ice age and it's like Snowpiercer?
I don't do well in the snow.
Me neither.
You know me in Palm Springs, like I can do fine in the heat. The snow,
But I do like this dream of living like in a terrarium in the cold where there's like all these plants and glass and the sun filters through, and it's like I like
I like the idea of having to live my whole life in a terrarium.
well, if we all had tunnels with giant terrariums and it was sort of like a climate controlled arboretum sorts.
That kind of made you think like you were outside. It kind of made you feel like you were outside.
I love greenhouses. You know, greenhouses obviously aren't nature, but if they're glass, you have the sun coming through, you have plants, you're connected to nature.
I do love a greenhouse.
Yeah. The greenhouses are perfect. They're the perfect temperature. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I think
My 5 husbands.
David there
David
every day,
David and Grayson are there by my side. We are all holding hands.
walking into the sunset together.
Who the hell knows?
Yeah,
I think of your kids in 40 years too. It's
know.
scary to think of Ember as a 45-year-old. That's horrifying.
I know. I think that's maybe why I have like been having those anxious death thoughts lately, is because something happened in my mind. Like I think I realized my age, and all of a sudden I started to like see, oh my God, when you find out how many summers you have left.
I didn't. I saw that the other day. I did not like that.
I don't like it at all. And so then you start like, you realize the reality of what like life
it was like
is.
how many? No, it was like you only have this many summers. You only have 18 summers with your kid.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, I only have 13 summers left with Ember. And like summer hit so quickly. So then like realizing just like how fragile and short life is. And I've been thinking about that. And I have never been the type of person to think ahead in my life. Like I've never thought about the 5-year plan. It's literally always just been like, today is today.
Yeah.
And every once in a while
like that.
when like you pause and think, oh gosh, like Evan, work-wise, can you be doing that in 10 years, or
Right.
will you be aged out of that, and and it's like, well, what do you do after that?
Right.
Like I try not to ever go there. Right. So I think then the idea of like thinking about like how short life is, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. Like I brought up and you guys were clowning on me when I was like, how many more books can you read? But when you start thinking about that, like you're like, what, you made me read 2 books a year, realistic 3 books a year, whatever. And you're only gonna have you gotta pick only a couple hundred books that you're gonna read before you die. You know, it's just like so wild. It just starts getting.
That's so wild.
I know
the summer thing really fucks me up.
I know, but also that's not real. You know, it's like you're gonna have more summers because one day your kids are gonna have grandkids and they're gonna spend every summer with you. You know, it's like I don't like the 18 summers thing. Fuck that.
I think it's more like when they're like in the home with you.
Yeah,
like,
but who knows?
That's true. But honestly, by the time that our kids are older.
I mean, like in old generations, kids would live with you until like they got married. I don't know if I want to do that, but if you had a good enough relationship with your child, like that would be awesome if they lived with you longer or came back home and lived with you.
I'd be like, Ember, you can live here for forever if you want to.
Well, I think it's school. I think it's the definition of summer by that time where there is no school commitments. And
it's even like already the idea has shifted now that Ember is in kindergarten, because before kindergarten it would be like, oh, like if Evan was like got work off on Friday, like let's go on like a little getaway together and like spend some quality time. And now it's like, oh no, you can't because you have to be in school a certain amount of time. So like it's, you know, it's like the 5 days a week, like it just feels then all of a sudden more like structured and old.
True. All right, let's do a palette cleanser. Jesus Christ, fuck this shit.
Just like the heaviest Tuesday morning for whoever's listening. It's just like, well, trying to, you know, start the earlier half of my week with a little more of a happy swing, but that's what you get today, you know?
Man. Someone asked, how do you both know your partner was the one? Well, you know, we don't know that they're one because we're waiting for our
Tobin and David.
Tobins and Davids out there. Okay, a lot of people have been asking how we met, and maybe there are new listeners, so I guess we should just clear that. Sorry for any old listeners, but there are a lot of questions, like a lot.
Yeah. About how we met?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to keep it short for those who know, it was just basically from mutual friends. Mutual friends introduced us, and we would every once in a while see each other at a party or two, and we would chat. And then one day I was like, hey, Becca, I know you barely know me, but would you be interested in maybe starting a podcast together? Because Becca had found out that she was pregnant and I didn't have any mom friends. So I'm like, we could talk about that type of stuff. For some reason, Becca decided to say okay to me and show up to my home.
It was just one of those things where, you know, I try to flow with life, and every once in a while, anyone else asking me, you know, would you want to try to start a podcast? You're like, yeah, I mean, I've thought about it, totally the idea. Like, text me about it, you know?
When you said yes, and you were like, yeah, I'd be down. In my brain, I was like,
I think I even said, like, no, I've actually thought about that.
You did. And in my initial thought was like, oh, that's so nice of her to like
to
humor me and not to be like, I'll just get back to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's nice. But like, there's, you know, she's so busy. Like, and I knew that you had already gotten offers.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's just, you know, it's not going to happen, but that was nice of her. And then you showed up.
But it was one of those things where I was trying to tell you too, but then you always seem insincere at the same time where you're saying like, I was like, no, like I've been actually thinking about starting a podcast lately, but like I feel like I need a co-host. And like, I actually thought that we would be really good.
Oh no. And I fully believed you at that.
Oh, you did.
I was just more like, oh, that's nice
really
of her
happen?
because I brought it up to her. But like, you know, she'll find a co-host who was maybe on the show or who was another influencer or someone that she knows better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I thought was going to happen. Then you showed up. We recorded one episode. It went really well. And it was like, how the heck did that just happen so smoothly?
I remember I was walking. I had dropped my car off to get new tires, and I was walking to a nail salon. I was like, I guess like 5 or 6 months pregnant at the time. And I remember listening in my earbuds to the episode, and I was like, like laughing. I was just kind of like giggling. It was just like,
I was like, this is good.
Yeah. And then we were like, all right. And then we actually decided, you know, like, let's just like do a fresh episode 1. That was kind of a test run.
Yeah. I feel like in that first episode.
God, we gotta find
that.
I know you emailed it to me, so I have it in the archives.
Somewhere. And I think in the very first episode, or the first episode we recorded, why we decided not to release it was, I think, because we didn't really know what it was. So we didn't really do an intro. And so we were like, oh, this works. So let's do a first episode where we're kind of like introducing.
You know what? Yeah, exactly. It was introducing us, because the first episode we were just like jiving, talking about shit. And then we were like, wait. We should explain who we are.
Yeah, like what
and who you are and like what we're doing here. Because we were just kind of, you know, all over the place with that. Now I want to like, I'm trying to scroll back in my email to see if.
Oh my God.
No, I can't find it, but I'll go later and try to figure it out. But yeah.
And you know, we're coming up on 3 years.
I think that it was really lucky timing that Colton season, which we said we weren't going to do, launched about 6 weeks after we started, 6 to 8 weeks after we started. And we were like, oh, fuck it. Let's.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, the timing was perfect because we were in the swing of it too. We were like, this is going really well.
Episodes.
And then you were having a lot of people asking you, like, are you going to talk about the season?
And we came out of the gate hot because we were like, our real unfiltered thoughts about Colton pre-season. And we kind of went in. This is before we knew about what was okay and not okay.
Yeah, so you start to learn, you start to, you know, you realize.
Find the boundaries.
Yeah, you also realize that you're not like really sitting alone in a room.
No, really not.
No.
Not at all.
And I had zero experience being in any sort of public eye. So you were like, you're used to getting tons of DMs. And I remember all of a sudden when this started, I, like a small child, am calling you. I feel so bad.
I don't even remember this.
But I feel bad now because I'm like, oh my God, like that had to have been so stressful for you because I'm not used to receiving mean DMs and like getting blown up about a lot of
like,
stuff.
what is happening?
And I'm like, so when I would see anything negative, I was like, this must be fixed immediately.
Yeah.
And so I'm like calling you constantly, just being like, okay, I think someone said this and this might have been a good point. And I think we upset this person in this way. And I was just like, oh my God. And you were just like, hey, it's okay. Like, you know, sometimes people don't agree with everything that you're saying. And I'm like, I'm not used to this. I have a certain group of friends. And if they have a problem with me, we talk it out IRL. Yeah. I don't know what this is.
Crazy.
That was wild.
By the end of Colton's season, our listenership had really skyrocketed.
Yes.
Compared to where we had started.
Yes.
And so that was...
We hadn't, like, I remember not receiving any really, like, negative kickback or anything on the first few because I think the people who were tuning in were like, you know, they're big fans of you and, you know, they want to support, like the OG squad is like wants to support. And then we started to get listeners who were just Bachelor viewers. And so, you know.
You're saying some controversial things.
And we were really going in real hard.
Okay.
No wonder we weren't allowed to have anybody from the show. When I reflect back.
I mean, wow, it's come a long way. What episode number are we on? Like, what episode is this going to be? Do you know? Let's see.
I mean, 300.
Are we at 300 yet? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think so.
My podcast app is
almost.
Frozen.
Wait. Oh my God.
What?
This is the 300th episode.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because it says, I'm looking, Broads, again, we're recording this on a different day, but I'm looking MR
Emily wants us
298.
Oh, wow. A special 300 episode celebration. Congrats to us.
300 episodes.
I mean, you do realize that's probably an average, like if we're averaging out in 90 minutes an episode, which I would say we probably are.
Yes, because it's at least an hour and 15 always. And, you know, at most like
so to be conservative, that means we've spent, 90 minutes times 300. It's 27,000 minutes that we've talked on this show together. 27,000. 25,600 minutes. Wow. Okay. So and then divided that by 60. That's 450 hours. That doesn't sound like a lot though. Divided by 24. We've spent almost 19 full days, 24 hours worth of talking.
That's a lot.
Doesn't sound like that much when you put it like that.
No,
only like almost not even 3 weeks.
But that's no sleeping.
Right.
That's nonstop
so that's
talking.
6 weeks of talking 12 hours a day.
Wow. That still doesn't
That's
feel as
9
much.
weeks of
Let's break this down.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
That's crazy.
That's really
Congrats.
cool.
I wish that I had confetti guns behind us.
Lee, edit them in, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Just explosions. Fireworks, baby.
Wow.
That's wild.
Cool.
And
How
here
far we've come.
How far we've come. Wow. Like I said, it's going to be 3 years.
I think we should release the first episode at some point.
Yeah, we
probably
definitely
listen through it first.
Yeah, I think that would be probably a good idea. Double check a couple things. Okay, Broad's going to take one more quick pause. Now, listen, it is officially September, and that means it's back to school, baby. That is if your kids haven't already started, which I know a lot of kiddos are already back, mine included. But listen, if there's one thing that goes hand in hand with going back to school, it's packed lunches. And if you're struggling to find healthy options to pack your little ones, let us fill you in on our favorite secret weapon, and that is Thrive Market.
Thrive Market is basically like all of your favorite health stores and then some, compiled into one awesome superstore online that's on a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. Once you sign up for our Thrive Market membership, you get access to all their amazing products at discounted prices. And if you're in the market for healthy options for school lunches, their snack section is outrageous. You'll find everything from crispy veggie chips to healthier versions of your kids' favorite sweet treats. They seriously have everything. I also do so much of my shopping for clean beauty brands too on Thrive Market. I just love them.
And Thrive is so much more than just snacks, okay? Shop everything from pantry staples to sustainable meat and seafood to non-toxic cleaning and household supplies. There's even a function to find items by things like dietary restrictions and values and so much more, which is so helpful if you have picky eaters or kids with allergies. Makes shopping so much smoother. And I sat down with my daughter Ember before her first day of kindergarten, and we actually just picked out a bunch of healthy snacks on Thrive together, and she had so much fun not only being able to pick out all of her own snacks herself. Mama was happy because we saved $23 on the order. Healthy snacks and saving money. Thank you, Thrive Market. I love you.
Go to thrivemarket.com/chatty. Join today to get $20 off your first order and a free gift. That's THRIVE market.com/chatty to get $20 off your first order and a free gift. thrivemarket.com/chatty.
Let's move on to the next question.
Sure.
This is really the palate cleanser. Have either of you ever considered signing up for OnlyFans / would you? And we've been having some recent conversations about this, and I want to hear what your answer is. We've been talking about like getting creative, like there's OnlyFans where people do bikini shots.
You and
There's
Gray
people,
have been talking.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if we'd actually do this, but it was sort of an idea where Gray's dad was telling us about someone who he knows who does. She calls it like, I think she just calls it like naked bakers or something, and they're literally just cooking while they're naked. And I was like, oh my god, imagine if we did some sort of like, I don't know, just like naked where we're like hiking or cooking or you know, swimming in the ocean or whatever at a nude
You guys
beach.
could just do a podcast together nude.
That sounds not as fun.
Everything's just kind of hanging.
I don't think we would actually do it, but it's one of those things where you're like, okay, you're not putting yourself having sex on the internet. You're just putting your naked body, which sure is vulnerable, but in the scheme of things, it's like,
I think that's a fun idea.
and it'll probably really grab people's attention.
Yeah, especially because it's different.
Yeah.
I would watch it. So I was helping I wanted to like creative direct with some OnlyFans stuff.
Yes,
I was helping a friend initially, and she didn't end up.
God damn it.
I know, I was so bummed out because we had some good content, but she was going to be honing in on the foot piece.
Which I think you could do.
I appreciate that, but I really, I have such a lengthy second toe that I don't know. I mean, I guess everyone has different types of foot fetishes, but normally I think it's like the row of toes sloping downwards.
You've got something unique going for you.
It's
Your
true.
alternative.
I've got that alternative foot, honey. But I was like I liked creative directing, and I was like, oh my gosh, let's do this with your foot, and let's do this, and I was like super hyped about that. So I was doing that.
What were some of your ideas?
I just wanted to make it very colorful, like almost like pop art style, but with like, feet and food.
I was literally, the first place my head went was food. I was just thinking, what if you were decorating a cake with only your feet, and you're like trying to squish frosting between your feet and putting the candles on top with toes.
The frosting is super colorful. You have like a white background. Like it's just, dipping your feet in rosé, and then putting like whipped cream. I don't know, just like fun food. And now I'm normally not into the food thing, but the food with the feet was just very pretty.
That's some people's nightmares.
Yes, 100%.
I don't have any problem with it. I'm like, just some beautiful pedicured, cleaned feet.
Yeah, with food,
mushing some things between the toes.
I just have a problem with when there's food being exchanged between mouths. That just is not for me.
No, that's disgusting.
It's not for me.
I shouldn't say that's disgusting. For some people, it's not disgusting, but it disgusts me.
Yeah. It's not, it makes me a little nauseous. I was watching Love Island, and they were playing like a relay race game where they had to like take a full meal and pass it.
Oh my God, that's like human centipede. That's disgusting.
And I was dry heaving because they'd have like the mashed potatoes, the gravy, and it was
I'm
And
having
I
like
know-
a
no, I'm-
full response here.
And it was
That is,
it was coming up in my throat, like I was gonna start to vomit, and I had to skip it. I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I feel so ill watching it. I'm like, what if I would have been in that situation? I would have just had to say like, I'm sorry to be such a party
That is
pooper, but
fear
I can't
factor
do
status.
this. Yes, straight up.
oh my God. Oh my
Fear
God.
factor.
Like warm from their mouth. Just like, oh my God. Spit.
The different-
Oh.
The different consistencies. Consistency is already what like really gets me. So the different consistencies of what they were putting in each other's mouths.
I guess if you literally had to just put it in your mouth and spit it out into someone else's, imagine if you had to like chew it up and roll it around in your mouth.
But I struggle in mom moments when Ember gets like some backwash in my drink.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I'm like, I want to love and support. And when she says, here, take a sip of this, I want to not just pretend to take a big sip. Like, I'd like to take a big sip. But when I see that backwash, I just can't do it.
Even when my kids have like food on their face, I'm just
Yeah.
like, let's stop that.
The baby food used to be hard for me. The smell of like the pureed peas and it getting in crevices and like the high chair.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that
Why
was
do none
rough.
of those high chairs have like easily cleanable designs?
I don't know.
There's got to be a better way to live.
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, you know what to do. Yeah, like the little like slots where oh my God.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
So yeah, I did that with OnlyFans. Thought about it. Didn't end up following
yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Evan and I have talked about, I've talked with him about like just doing OnlyFans like audio wise. Like a POV.
Oh, we talked about this before.
Right? Like POV audio.
Sort of like Dipsy.
Yeah, super similar to Dipsy. So there's like no visuals. It's just audio and doing like stories, but like POV style. I'm like, that would be fun. I'd be super down
Why
for
don't you
that.
just read erotic stories?
I'd be down to do that too. I started to think about though Evan being like, you know, with his audio stuff, I was like, you could add in sound effects like the
like
the sound
Dipsy, yeah.
yeah, the sound of like my feet walking and then like the door closing, like full like, you know, audio
theater.
adventure.
Yeah.
Theater, there you go.
Radio
Like that
theater.
might be fun.
You should do that.
Thought about it.
Why not?
Well, you know, starting this podcast and talking about certain things has left a strained relationship in some parts of, I'll say our family, to not hone in on anyone in particular, that, you know, I'd have to be promoting it from my Instagram.
We can promote it on the podcast,
We
not
can
promote it on
promote-
your Instagram. Put it in your link tree. No one has to know.
I'm just like, you know, we've talked about, we're like, oh my God, is it worth getting that from the family?
Legit, if you only talked about it on the podcast and you did just put
I
it in
could
your
kind
link
of hide
tree,
it. Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to put it on your swipe ups.
Something to consider.
I think you should do it. You have a great voice and that could be so
you.
fun. Like, I mean, you can have listeners send you like their favorite erotic stories.
I would
You
be
could-
super
You
down.
could go through a chapter book, like, you know, like kind of like, but not 50 Shades of Grey. Like there's lots of erotic novels and you could do chapter by chapter.
I would love to do that.
I'm sure people would love that. Think about it.
Think about it. Think about it.
You could have Evan come in and read the male voices. People would love that.
Yeah. Huh.
I say fucking do it. And we'll promote
We're
it on the
considering
podcast
it.
and you don't have to do it on your Instagram. I think that's amazing.
So we won't have full family fallout?
I feel like people would just love that.
I would love to do it.
Hmm.
I think it'd be fun.
What does this mean? Oh, never mind. Someone said would love to know Jess's reasons for one and done, as we are considering it too. And I was like, one and done. They're talking about kids. I was like, one and
I was
done.
like, one and
Evan?
done. I was like, I'm confused. Are you forgetting about Tobin?
There's still possibilities on the table.
My reason for one and done is, first of all, it's not a hard and fast decision. I always say never, you know. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I might change my mind.
Yeah.
We might change our mind. I don't know.
You've got
But-
a decent amount of years of if you want to have a biological child, decent number of years
Yeah,
of
if I want to have a
fertility.
biological child, you know, I'm what is it when they say geriatric pregnancy
You
is
only got
at
a couple
35?
years before you're geriatric.
I got like two years.
Geriatric. I'm
I
like,
mean, are
what?
you kidding me? Geriatric. Can
What
there be a
is
different
term?
name? Can there just be a different name
What
for
about
it?
advanced pregnancy?
Yeah, I mean that would be great, but geriatric feels like a little much. I mean, there's not really a reason behind it other than we are happy right now with Ember, and we both. I mean, I guess like the more personal reasons and why the hell not, because it's the podcast, would be there is a fear for me. We've talked about this a little bit, but there's a fear for me about my bipolar. When I initially got pregnant, I was, couldn't be on medication. I was really scared of what that would look like for us. And then what ended up happening was when I got pregnant with Ember, like I wasn't really dealing with my bipolar at all. Whatever happened with my hormones, I felt great. And then I felt really good afterwards too, like while I was breastfeeding. And now in more like probably this past year, I've had more like bipolar stuff kind of seeping in. I've had like, some episodes and stuff again. But what I'm nervous about, TBH, is that if I had another child, that it would be like a reverse effect.
I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, that's totally something to be scared about.
Because it was so shocking that it went like away, and it's been so shocking that in recent years it hasn't literally consumed my life, because it did. That was my life, was just working around that. The idea of being pregnant and whatever hormonal shift happening and that becoming a thing and then affecting my child and my husband is frightening. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons. But yeah. And Ember's like 2 kids.
Yeah.
Ember's a little wild one.
I think that makes sense to be something nervous about. I mean, you don't, yeah. Like you said, if you had something so unexpected that happen the first time, it's like, who knows what unexpected mental health
I don't know.
could happen with the second.
Exactly. And
you could be perfect after,
it could be but honestly, it could be. It could literally be like even more, and I feel even better. Like, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And so what I'm concerned about is like again, the current child that I have right now, and like my relationship with my husband. And then also too, I loved the idea of Ember having a sibling, but at the same time too, the shock of, oh my God, like we have this baby and I'm actually feeling a lot better mental health wise, and I'm able to handle this right now. That was like, this is what I can handle right now. Mm-hmm. And I was already pretty overwhelmed with that. And I'm like, this is what I can handle. And so this is where it's going to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you decide you want to handle more, you'll do it.
And if I want to handle more, exactly. We'll see. And we just make sure that Ember is playing with other kids constantly, because she's a little social one. Okay, air is on and snack break has happened.
A couple questions we've already actually answered before in past episodes, which, by the way, if you're a new listener, dive into scroll back if you're wanting new content.
I mean, like I said, this is 300. There's a lot. There's a lot of episodes you can go through.
Someone asked Evan and Jess' relationship timeline. We have a whole episode where I interviewed you guys.
Yes, that was a really fun episode.
That was in one of the first 100.
That might have been like first 30.
Yeah, because did we have video yet? I don't think we did.
We might have. No, you're right. I don't think we did.
So I think it is in the first 30 episodes.
Wow.
That would be a fun one. Each of ours would be an interesting one to replay. To repost.
Yeah, because I interviewed you and Gray and you interviewed me and Evan.
That was years ago, so
yeah.
A lot changes. And then someone else asked about, are either of y'all bi? We also have an episode where we talk all about bisexuality.
We do.
You can go back and listen to that too.
Yeah, I'll have maybe post some of them in the episode notes,
that was
or we'll
from 2
repost
years
them.
ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was from 2019 summer. Mm-hmm. Here, you want to find one?
Sure. Do you ever get crushes on your partner's friends?
Constantly.
The way that the mic is just slowly brought. Never not a crush on one of my partner's friends is more of the correct.
Do you?
It happens every once in a while, and it's not because I would if I was interested in.
Right, nothing wrong with a crush.
If you didn't bring shit people around doing it. No, it just has happened that like the people that Evan is friends with are not so much my type, but I've had it before, of course.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into like, when you are getting to know other people, like on maybe like a little trip or whatever, and then everyone has kind of like deep talks and you get to know like a different side of someone a little more. Like, yeah, of course.
I would say statistically, like 1 in 3 of Grayston's friends, I am like attracted to. I'm like, wow.
Physically and personality wise, or?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I
what a
don't
solid
know.
group he comes with.
I don't know if I would like, let's be real. I don't know if I would like enter into I don't know if I was single, if I would pursue, I don't think so. But like, oh, like, you know, you're a catch. Like, you are attractive to me.
Sure. What are your thoughts on then will you talk with Gray about it?
Well, I always ask him, like, who would you have a crush on? Or like, who are you most sexually attracted to in your group of friends? Like, who are you,
Yeah.
and then he'll be like, yeah, I'll just be like, oh, guess who you think I mean, every once in a while we'll talk about it. But yeah, I'd say yes, we do talk about it.
My thing with like my friends is I'm always just like, listen, it's human nature to have crushes on people around you.
So tell me now.
I mean, like, for me, I would honestly, like, I'm like, hey, like, I'd like to know from Evan if he's like, yeah, I'm, like, feeling super attracted to that person. I'd be like, all right, well, let's talk about it and kind of, like, see where we go from there.
Let's talk about it, and let's set the boundary that you will no longer be allowed around this person alone.
Tobin is in our home. You may not engage with that friend that you think you have a little bit of a crush on. But I also tell people, though, I'm like, when it comes to then having a conversation with your partner about crushes, one of the most important things is that, like, if you are going to go there and make the decision to ask your partner who maybe in your friend group he has a crush on, know that you are asking him that and you need to accept his answer, in a way that is not a trap for your partner.
You know what's so interesting?
If you don't want to know, don't ask. That's my thing. You know what I mean? Like, because everyone feels that everyone has a crush sometimes. So if you're going to not be ready to hear a potential honest answer and aren't going to be able to handle it, just don't even ask.
You know what's so interesting? And I think, I know people get so annoyed how I talk about this stuff all the time, but also you guys got to remember this is our podcast, so we're on a journey to self-discovery.
Episode 300.
So when there are certain periods of time where you're going through certain aspects of self-discovery,
sure,
you might talk about it a lot, whether, whatever that may be. It's what's on your heart and mind and in your life. Anyway, I realized, I was telling Gray this the other night, I think that I am, and maybe I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I think I am genuinely like a polyamorous person, like in my sexual identity, because, like I said, my first relationship in high school with my boyfriend who was gay, he was hooking up with other guys and I was like okay with it.
Okay.
Like I knew, like he would tell me, I was just with this guy, whatever. And I'd be like, okay, well that kind of annoys me, but like, whatever, you're here with me now, like kind of thing. So really like my first sexual relationship, when I have a relationship with someone, it was open. He was sleeping with guys and I knew about it. And I didn't know at first, but then like one of my classmates told me that he was hooking up with this guy and I was like, and then he told me.
Okay. And then when you went to him, you weren't like, relationship over. You're just like,
I didn't tell him that I knew. He told me.
Okay. Wow.
That he was gay.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, and you're hooking up with these other guys. Like I already knew because this person told me. And then it was kind of weird, but then I was kind of like, I didn't say yes or no. I was just kind of like, okay. It wasn't the most communicative, healthy relationship, but granted,
sure,
that was my
young.
first experience. And I was like, okay, well, I know he's hooking up with this guy, and I actually know he has like a Tinder date on Friday and like whatever, but I was sort of okay with it. I just like accepted it and was like, all right. And that's just what it was.
And that was your first relationship.
That was my first relationship. And then I remembered like one of my boyfriends, actually a couple of my boyfriends, when I'd be out with friends, I'd get drunk and I would always try to make my boyfriend make out with my friends.
I remember hearing about this.
Like I wouldn't do, I mean, there's different contexts. Like I don't think I can't imagine myself ever being like, Jess, make out with Gray.
No, there's a different energy that's going on
There's
too.
Different energy.
There's a different energy.
Like, no.
this
so
isn't
funny because someone asked us on our Instagram, it was like would you guys ever part, like, I don't know, swap part or something, and both Gray and I are just like, no,
I don't know. This is my thing. I don't know what it is, because there's sometimes you just don't even know how to put it into words. I love you both so
We're
much.
like family at this point.
But it's family. Like,
it's literally like family at this point.
It's literally like I would say anything in front, and like obviously I don't know Gray nearly as well as I know you, but I would say anything in front of you or Gray at this point. Like, this is like it's family.
Yeah.
So yeah, when people are always like, so do you think you guys could ever hook up with each other? I'm like, it would be like hooking up with my brother or my sister.
No.
Like,
I feel the same way.
No, I'm like, and I don't know how to express it.
I cannot imagine having any kind of sexual relationship with you or Evan. That to me, I almost get like, not because you guys are not sexually attractive, you get like a vomit response, like it's a sibling.
It's fucking family.
It's that response.
It's
where you're
family.
Just like, no.
There are only a few people in my life, and I say this in love. There are only a few people in my life that I feel like, when you, like, again, it's kind of this unspoken thing where, like, there's certain people that even if you and I wouldn't work together as much as we did, I'm like, you are absolutely stunning. Gray is absolutely gorgeous. You guys have amazing personalities. As soon as I got to know you a little bit, it felt like family immediately. There is kind of this intimacy that is different, where you're like, life, sometimes there's just an intersection and you're like, did I know you in a past life in like a familial way? Like, there's something like that, where it's like even earlier on, there wasn't that energy. It felt like family. And then the more time that goes by, it's like, no, this is family. So I feel the same exact way. Evan and I have talked about it too. We're like, I mean, because whenever I do a Q&A, I get the question too. And I'm like, I don't know how to say this in a way without Evan and I both acknowledging that we find Gray and Becca to be beautiful people and wonderful people, but that's just not the vibe.
There's never going to be any kind of swinging situation going on.
No,
none of that.
If you see that the four of us are at a hotel together, like, there's not a swinging, there is not a swapping happening.
Ew!
No, it's just like, no. Like, no. It's just wrong.
It's wrong. It's not right. Wait, how do we get on that topic? Crushes on friends.
Crushes on friends.
Oh no, but then I would get my other friends. I'd be like, make out with him. You guys make out.
Yes.
I'd be like, do it, make out together.
Yeah, because it's leaving me hot.
Yeah, and I was like, I loved it. I was like, ooh, that's so fun, And then when I said like we had my little mini orgy, I didn't care at all. I saw him fucking other girls in front of me, whatever.
Do you know what?
I don't care.
Do you know what's something that's kind of funny is that one of the first things that I knew about you was one of our friends telling me a story of like a group hang that you were at, where some of the friends and girlfriends and the boyfriends were kind of starting to make out a little bit.
Wait, no, okay, cut it out.
Anyway,
okay, turns out I was not at this situation that Jess just told me off air.
I mixed it up.
Wish I was, but no.
But you were there were other stories similar to that I might have been mixed up.
And then now having to deal with all of Gray's ex-girlfriends and ex-flings constantly are buzzing around us in his friend group.
Yes, and then that's a whole different animal.
It's a whole different, but now I think I have transcended some sort of sexual jealousy at this point.
I think as far as like my close friends, I like, and then crushes on Evan's friends, like Evan and I have a similar group of close friends, and I feel like the people that I hang out with regularly, like a lot, are a small group, and it is family. And it's just not that energy.
You guys have also known each other and I'd say known your friends for years at this point.
Yes, it's been forever. And then even the ones that we like end up meeting, now later on in life, it just like, we have a few people that we're really close to, and it's like, it's immediate. It's like what I'm talking about with you and Gray, where that's like, this feels like family. It's super comfortable right away, and there's not that energy. Now, there's people that we know that it's more acquaintancy than that. I would say that's more of that vibe when we, before pre-COVID times when there would be a lot of like parties for music stuff. Sure.
Of course.
But of course.
But crushes are fun though. I've like allowed myself to kind of lean into that more lately, where I'm like, and and I think we've talked about it. It's almost kind of liberating sometimes too, where you're like, oh, I have a crush on this person. I like them.
Yeah.
I'm into them.
Yeah.
You know,
and if there's no like boundary that's being set, that's being broken, and you're just having that little feeling in your self,
and you want to be around them, and you want to
be around them, and it's nice, great.
As long as you're self-aware and conscious of the choices you're making, are being honest with yourself, I think that is safe. But there are a lot of people who do not want to get honest about themselves about when they're crossing a line that they know they shouldn't be crossing.
Yeah, and sometimes that can be a little sketchy.
Yeah,
it can be a little shady.
If money was no object, what is one thing you would buy?
Okay, so my immediate response is just stupid because it's like no shit, Sherlock. I would buy a open floor plan.
Yeah, I mean, you're buying a house.
1-story house on the ocean. 1000%. Sign me up, Encinitas. Mama's coming home. That's what I would buy first. But if it's just kind of like frivolous, money was no object.
I don't think I would buy an object. I think I would buy like a chef for the rest of my life.
Oh, see, that's very good. Yeah, a personal assistant, maybe. Yeah. No, yeah, that feels like that would be way more life-changing than being like, I got this new Balenciaga bag.
Right, so it's like no matter where you live, whether you have to go back to an apartment or, go whatever, you're going to have your chef with you.
Yeah. Chef, that might have to be it.
Really?
A personal chef?
Yeah.
Because, I'm just so bad in the kitchen. And I love to eat certain foods that I just don't have the patience to make.
Yeah, imagine if you gave them like a menu of what you wanted for the week.
Oh my God. That would be incredible.
Wouldn't it?
Yes. Avocados.
You might actually save money.
No, I would. Maybe I'm literally like, should I invest in that? Because when I am door dashing, a Coke Zero, we have a problem.
I'm dead. Oh man.
But that's a really good one. I also experiences to me, by the way. Like an object would just not be it to me. It would have to be, unless I was allowed to buy maybe a vacation property.
Right.
It would have to be like an experience.
Jess, why is someone saying this? They must have misinterpreted something you said. Are Jess and Evan actually in a semi-open relationship?
Well, I guess people have asked me that before because I've talked about
how... Oh, you said you're allowed to go out and flirt?
Yeah.
How is that that's not an open relationship.
I guess maybe for some people it is.
Maybe.
If the boundary is like, no, we,
how do you set that boundary though? No flirting? Like, what does that look like I guess then? You're just like, hello, sir.
No, you're just like, you can only just engage with your friends. Female friends. I don't know how that looks. But again, also, some people's personalities are different. You know me. I kind of just, I exist to flirt. I flirt to exist. I'm just kind of like that. So it's, I think for us, it was just more of like, I needed to, yes, I have a very flirty personality. So Evan knows that about me. That's always been who I am. But I needed to make like a clear communicative have a clear communicative conversation with him where I was like, I like to, and I feel like in my life right now, I want to go out with my girlfriends and I want to show up at a party or a hang and not be like, hello, I'm Mrs. Evan Ambrose and I am a mother and let's only talk about my husband and my child, but just show up as Jess and like flirt and have fun and make sure that he knows like, hey, by the way, when I'm going out, because this is what happens. This is a small town. You think it's big and it's small.
It's so true. Even on Instagram, I'll like click someone, like they're cool. I'll be like followed by this person and that person. Yeah. And then you're like, wait, what? And then you like, there's like everyone.
So it's everything's interconnected. So it's like, we've had situations before where, one of us is out at a hang alone. And other people who mutually kind of know us from like another group of people see us and like rumors have started to turn before. There's been some rumors for sure. Because you'd be, I mean, even though it's like LA is LA and you think everyone's just like, you know, do your own thing.
Oh no, gossipy, of course.
It's like, but it's even just like, by the way, we can talk about fucking misogyny right here and now, is when Evan's out alone, no one says jack shit. But when certain people in the community are like, Jess is out, it's like late at night, and she especially when I first came into Los Angeles in this space, I was Evan's wife because he was like the one who was connected with like that whole scene.
Yeah.
And everyone was always very kind, like, oh my gosh, it's so cool that you're young and have a kid and you guys are the cute parents. Right. But people kind of obsessed over this idea of like this cute family who's younger for Los Angeles. And so all of a sudden when some of these people saw me out by myself, I wasn't with my husband, I wasn't at home with my kid.
Like, oh, are they on the rocks?
Oh, there's been conversations where it's like, I saw Jess out and she was like with a group and I don't know, she was talking to this one. I mean, like, there's been this whole thing. So there needed to be communication. And Evan, I can't lie to you and say that rumors have circulated before that my dear sweet husband hasn't leaned into and just pretended like, oh yeah, for sure, we're da-da-da-da-da.
Oh yeah, we swing.
Just because people are like, it's like, you know what, if you're going to start a rumor, go for it. I'd rather you just be like, just leave her be.
Yeah, I feel that.
I'll tell you a fucking wild story later. Sorry, broads.
Can't wait to hear. Okay. Oh, I feel like I already know your answer to this one, but what's your what would be the sex position you would pick for the rest of your life?
Ooh,
rest of your life. Gotta think when you're 73.
When I'm 73. That's an important factor. Yeah, because I was gonna say I have the most powerful orgasms when I'm on top.
Ooh.
Okay, I have the most powerful orgasms when I'm on top. I can last the longest when I'm in missionary. I'm on bottom, Evan's on top. But I love doggy style.
Oh, damn. So doggy style?
Yeah, probably. But I'm also thinking when I'm older. But then you can do doggy style. Laying down doggy style is fun. Or whatever that's called. Where they're just
on flat. I know you've talked about this before.
The lazy, they just kind of move. Or what is it? Then it's soaking. I love to soak.
I hate that.
You hate soaking?
No, the word. I hate the way soaking sounds. Like that is just like soggy. I think like wet, twinky. I just like, it's disgusting to me, and I get a little bit of the food reaction.
I understand that because it is
so like.
See, I learned from the broads because I had talked about that. I love when he like
holds it in,
just holds it in, and they're like, it's called soaking, and
no,
I was like,
disgusting.
Okay, what did you think I was gonna say, and then what's yours?
I thought you were just gonna say missionary.
I mean, I love
missionary.
I mean, it's classic. It's classic and it's fantastic. And like I said, I like missionary because I feel like even if he's on top, I can kind of control where my orgasm is going better. So I can kind of hold off if I'm like, I want to
edge a little bit
versus like.
Now, I'm always blown away by women who say that I don't go on top.
Really?
I don't like it. Grayson doesn't like it. Gray will literally lose his boner if I'm on top.
Really? I mean, I get it.
Unless the position is not good for our bodies if he's laying down. Now, if we're like sitting on a couch and I'm on top, that's a different story. It's a little different.
Yeah, I think when I think when I'm on top, it's and it's wonderful. It's typically on a couch.
Okay, yeah, like
because
he's
I have to be able to. Him sitting up, even if he's lying down, there's things to hold on to, and it's not so bouncy.
Maybe I'm just out of shape.
No, you're in better shape than I am.
Like my legs are tired, and my abs are sore the next day.
See, let me make something clear though. When I am on top, it's not like your girl is on a pogo stick going crazy. It's not just bouncing. I'm not. That's not for me.
Yeah,
it's a lot of like. It's a lot like I'll do that for a little bit and then like full down like kind of more like almost
I feel
the motion of the ocean vibe,
like you're kind of laid out on top of it. Yes. I used to do that with a different boyfriend all the time. It just doesn't work with Gray
David and I we love it. I feel like it's not like my go-to though. It's just like I feel like I can orgasm that way. I can have a strong internal orgasm that way.
Interesting.
So
interesting. I feel like it's, you know, everyone's bodies are so different because I feel
I know,
like it's
isn't it a
more
trip?
like definitely has to be missionary for me
For
because
the-
then it's hitting like, you know, more of that like upper area.
I don't know what it is.
It's also
Only
like,
time I've
I'm
ever
sure it's also, like,
squirted.
dick shape.
True. Only time I've ever squirted when I'm on top.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like missionary for me with any squirting or anything like that too.
Does it happen often for you?
If I'm using like a certain toy,
Okay.
if I'm using like a certain, I will. I do not squirt that often when we're having sex, but I will squirt from getting fingered
Okay.
quite
Sure.
frequently. I'll say.
I heard a wild story on Theo Vaughn's podcast about a class that he went to when he was
fingering?
learning how to. He didn't feel confident in knowing how to pleasure a woman.
Huh?
And
Good for
so
him going
I
to a
know,
class.
I know.
Taking initiative. I
And
love that.
Me too. And
Appreciate that.
And he went to a class, and he the story is unbelievably hilarious because it was like in a rec center. It was like, but he learned, they were talking about there's like a certain way that like in like the highest level of pleasure or whatever is like in a fingering form, and it involves like squirting, etc.
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I never had anyone finger me like my current partner does. Like
my
when a man knows how to
God.
use his hands with
Blessings.
fingering. Ugh, because of boyfriends in the past, they're just like doing
No.
this and like just stop.
No, it is a lost art. Truly,
it is.
There is nothing better. In like that is one of my most favorite things. Is getting fingered.
It's such a. It's like a. Yeah, there's.
I would say that it feels sometimes more intimate to me.
I was gonna say it's like a really intimate thing.
Yeah.
I think though you're very vulnerable, and I can understand also why people wouldn't feel comfortable with that because
Sure.
it's very vulnerable and like someone's watching you.
It's all very
And, like,
individual to individual.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you got somebody who doesn't know how to do it well, then it's just like
A nightmare.
then you gotta learn how
get a class.
to truly pleasure a partner.
I pretty much only have sex in either missionary or like not doggy style actually hurts my cervix.
Okay.
I will get a dick right to the cervix and I will be like,
Yeah.
so don't love that. But what I do like sometimes is I love just like laying down. Yeah.
Sure.
Laying down on your stomach.
What about sideways?
Oh yeah.
I love a lazy like in the middle of the night session where
Yes.
you both wake up and you just stay sideways.
We definitely never have sex in waking up. I've heard people talk about before. I'm like, that's really cute. If someone tried to have sex with me in the middle of the night, that would not go well.
It does not. Okay, let's make something very clear. That only happens if we're on vacation. With a child, and I know I'm getting a wake-up call,
Oh.
absolutely not.
Sometimes that's how it even is at night. You know, it's like 11, you know, and then we're gonna have sex and I'm
No.
like, and then it gets in my head, I'm like, oh, dude, this is
No.
gonna be like 20 or 30 minutes. And like, oh, man, like, I'm gonna be sleep deprived in the morning.
I'm also very sensitive post eating. I do not like to have sex
really?
after a meal. I feel...
Do you not like to work out after a meal either?
No, I always work out on mostly an empty stomach.
Oh my God, I know. Most people do that. See, I have to eat right
Yeah.
before I work out.
I get like crazy cramping if I'm like
Ooh.
fully, but then sex after a meal, I'm just like, I just don't like, I don't like the feeling of feeling full in
Yeah.
general. I love eating. I don't like the feeling of feeling full.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I get
it's like,
that.
so then feeling full and then having sex, I'm just like, no. And I just want
feeling
to
of being like
sleep.
it's the feeling of like being stuffed and like, your belly- it's like ugh.
I'm like, I don't want
get
anything
that.
else in there right now because
Totally get that.
everything is in there that can get in there right now.
Do you guys have period sex?
We do now a little more.
It's just like not a thing. It's like, yeah, if you're like,
No, I mean like I actually the flex disc
Yeah.
And that was awesome. But until then, we didn't normally, except for like, sometimes in the shower or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I usually don't have sex on the first 2 days of my period. Just in general, too. I'm sort of like...
I'm cramped. I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And
I'm usually just like kind of bloated.
even though I am very horny.
Yeah, I sometimes am, too.
So that's a lot of times when it'll be self-pleasure time for me is around the period days.
Yeah, I feel that.
Those can actually end up being the days where it's like, oh, mama was supposed to get a lot of shit done and a lot of shit did not get done because
sitting around the house.
She's laying around the house.
Just jerking off.
Oh yeah.
Too. You're just... Never mind. I'm getting too graphic on the show.
Sorry, couldn't get back to that email. Sorry, don't answer the DMs. Just doing my thing.
You just picture you being disgusting, like just all around the house, just like on furniture.
Just like there's no need to like really like I'm like I have like my area, my space. I can do a bathtub or the bedroom, but it's just like I have to do.
Dog, like,
I'm like I gotta go everywhere in the
chair.
house. It's like with a partner, like we have to do it everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Jess, we're gonna do this everywhere.
You know what's one of our favorite things, like a fun thing is like whenever we're up in the mountains, like we love if we're driving to the beach or like going somewhere like that, we love like pulling off on a road.
So romantic.
And then you see like the two roads on either side and you're like, oh, a car could come around the corner any second, but we're gonna get out of the car and just have sex in the middle of wherever.
That's so fantastic.
It's kind of exciting to see if a car is going to like drive.
I truly miss giving road head.
Yeah, I used to enjoy it a lot more. And then when I was pregnant and we were on a windy mountain road, I almost vomited. And it was a little traumatizing.
Yeah,
I've done it since then and kind of like, a little palate cleanser, but that was horrible.
Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not a great memory. Pregnant, winding road.
Wait, why do you say you miss it? Like, why can't you still do it?
Well, just because Evan and I aren't without Ember. Like, it's very rare.
Yeah.
So we're typically, if we ever do any sort of getaway, like she's with us, or if we're ever driving. And honestly, like when we have date nights, we typically take an Uber because we're both gonna have a drink. So we're like, okay, we're gonna take an Uber. Yeah. So that's I'm not gonna do that to the poor Uber driver. So I do miss that a little bit.
And Gray recently was like, why don't you give me a hand job in the back of the Uber? I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that to that poor person.
I know. I'm like, well, what? It's like, no, I can't.
Can you even ruin my perfect 5 stars?
You're like, listen, sir, there is a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake right now. I will not ruin the stars. That's the thing. I'm like, listen, what I will do.
I think that's just rude.
What I will do in an Uber is I'll do like, if there's like a jacket over Evan, I'll do a little like hand, like some grazing.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And get kind of like, the turn up going a tad.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we get home, bada bing, bada boom. Maybe not wait. I've talked about it before. Maybe not wait until we get into the house. Little side of the house action.
Where on the side of your house?
Just how like where there's the grass right in front.
Oh yeah.
There's a little side.
Yeah.
And it's a little it's a little covered, and we're like a little lifted off the street.
That makes sense.
So that's fun.
I think the driveway, and I'm like, well, damn, girl. Okay.
we're really all out there. Uber driver can't see it, but our whole neighborhood can. Wha-bam.
Oh man. Oh yeah, people are asking a lot. Like, Jess, you mentioned your marriage. You're allowed to go out and flirt. Is Evan allowed?
Of course. I shouldn't say of course. Some people have different relationships. Right. I shouldn't say that, but
right. If both people agree to it, then it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Because some people agreed that one partner is going to be monogamous and the other person isn't.
Yeah. In this situation, it is allowed on both ends. Or I shouldn't say allowed. It has been communicated with each other that that's good to go. And I will say for me personally, I can't speak for everyone because it's out of some people's comfort and they don't want to do it. But for me personally, it was a massive life change in a positive way. I felt like I regained myself, especially after having Ember. I felt a little bit like just kind of in the cycle of being mom and wife. And I like being able to go out, dress up, and just be Jess and just whatever happens with the night in conversation, just be. I love it.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Someone said, Becca, are you still wanting some sort of open relationship with Gray? Do you think that'll happen? I think it will happen. I believe, I manifest my realities. No, the reason that I think that it maybe was because Gray has never said a hard no. Like, he's just like...
Yeah, and you guys will be playful, and he'll be like, no, like, but in a real conversation.
No, I think that they think that his... to be completely honest, and I would be interested to hear his take, I think his reservations center around the time commitment that it will take not only to have another relationship, but implicitly in an open relationship, in order to do it right, we know we would have to put in a lot of time for communication and like therapy and making sure that everything is working smoothly with us. And I, honest to God, think that that is one of Grayson's biggest reservations.
He's like, a lot of this sounds really tiring to me, and I'm already really busy with work.
Straight up. I think that is literally the biggest thing for him. He's like,
makes sense
this
to
is
me.
a big, like, it's almost like a really big hobby or commitment to take on.
Yeah, it's like...
one that's going to require a lot of work and, like, investment in conversation and communication.
It's like if all of a sudden you came to him and you're like, Gray, I want to go to law school.
Right. He's like, oh,
It'd be like,
really?
It's a lot.
Like, are you sure we have, like, the time for that?
You're like, I want to go to law school, and then I'm going to practice.
Yeah.
And on top of everything.
It's kind of like,
a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I think Gray's like, I kind of already just want to watch, like, my cartoons at night. Like, I don't really want to have to, like, talk with you about, like, your new boyfriend.
He's like, I want to watch my cartoons. I don't want to go out and have to romance somebody.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Gray's like, I don't want to hook up with anyone else. I want to drag,
It's like, you gotta have that the first time small talk.
Well, that's the thing that we were talking about the other day, because like I fell asleep on the beach and he was chatting with a friend of a friend who was sitting nearby, and she was cute and whatever, and he was like, but then I was thinking, if we were in an open relationship, what the hell am I supposed to say to her without being a creep? Like, well, me and my wife,
Yeah,
we swing like that, if you know what I mean. You want to, let's exchange numbers. He's like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, I feel like something like that without it then coming off that way just has to happen organically.
Or I think you use dating apps and you say in your dating app, like, I am in this non-monogamous relationship with my partner. If you would like to learn more, like, we can chat about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, organically, or you just exchange Instagrams and then you maybe chatter and then you're like, hey, would you like to go out sometime? Like,
Yeah, or even like, again, like if it does happen organically in a way that like you're hanging out in a group of people and
it comes up in conversation.
It comes up in conversation, or if you just are getting flirtations with a person and then you see them and your partner's there the one time and you're not gonna be like, this is my wife and we like it, I don't know. I feel like it can happen organically.
I know some people are fucking weird about their non-monogamous relationships.
It's just more like, you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable.
You don't want to be the predatory threesome seekers.
Yeah, like the unicorn chasers.
Ugh.
Like, that's like, no. You got to make people feel comfortable in your space. I believe that you're manifesting.
Do you think my manifesting will work out?
I do.
You do?
Uh-huh. I do.
When do you think it'll work out? When do you think I'll have another boyfriend by?
Episode 400. Introducing David.
It's only a year. It's a year.
I think that...
Another 100 episodes a year.
I think you'll have another boyfriend in a year.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me excited.
I feel like, first of all, life can move fast, but I also think that when you are thinking about something that
say that.
No, I don't mean like in a way that's like
I know, I'm just saying don't say that because then people are gonna be like, Becca's gonna convince Grayson to let her have a boyfriend she doesn't want.
No, it's just more like in a way that like, I don't know, just the way that you two communicate too. Like, I don't know, you guys have like deep conversations a lot. So I feel like maybe in another potentially partnered relationship, you avoid the topic, even though there's a partner that's interested, so it ends up taking longer because there's avoidance.
Yeah.
Versus you guys are super direct in your communication, so I just feel like it would happen faster. I don't know.
I would like, honestly, I was sort of talking about this to Gray. Well, Gray wants to live in like a communal space where there's like multiple families like living together space. He actually really wants that, like a shared like kitchen area and like all that kind of stuff where we can like help with each other's kids and sort of like live life together.
Yeah.
And I really want that too. But the reason he brought that up is because I was like, honestly, Gray, like, and I was being totally serious. I was like, I would love to like have another like partner like you, and I would love you guys to like get along. Like, I'd love that. And he's kind of like, well, I don't know about that, but I wouldn't want to live in like a communal space, you know, with other families. Like, I think I'm interested in that. And I'm like, okay, but you know, but I would love to. Yeah, I would love to have like I would literally like to have 2 husbands. I'm not joking. I would love that.
I know,
and I would love going to like. Well, my parents would not be cool with it, but I think Gray's parents, I don't know if do you ever think about this? Like, how would your parents handle it if you were like, if you were like, no, I am marrying, I mean, at this point, you guys have been together a long time, but like, I always wonder how like sort of more evangelical Christians would handle like, I am marrying another man. And like,
I'll tell you, I'll share this. My mother is, of all of like our family members, is the one who has changed a lot in recent years, shifted her beliefs a lot, and is far along in certain areas, much in a much different place. She's not in that evangelical space so much. Evan and I just brought up non-monogamy to her, not even in the way that like we were saying
we might do it,
that we were going to do it, just the concept of of non-monogamy, and even if you're not non-monogamous, how much you can learn from non-monogamy. And it did not go well. It was a drama and a half, a conversation that lasted so long, because that was just, I mean, so if we were to ever come to the family and be like, we're non-monogamous, it's just something at this point, if Evan and I ever venture into like a fully open marriage, that like, it's just not for the family to know about.
Yeah.
And also for me personally, like I know I could never be like poly, like relationship. It would only just be open physically, like, and it would end at like, you know, just having like intercourse with someone, and then it wouldn't be any sort of like conversation post in that way. Yeah, that's for me. I couldn't handle 2 husbands. It's you're like my dreams. No, I could. That would just be too overwhelming for me. That would personally
be kind of a lot. But I always think like, oh my gosh, like I follow a couple poly people, and you know, they'll like have holidays and they'll be like at, you know, this partner's house with all of them, and I'm like, oh, it's so sweet.
No, it's lovely. And I think I mean,
you know what it is, I'm also from a big family, so I'm like, I love the idea of just like expanding my love even further and onto someone in their family too. And it's like,
you have a lot of love to give. I only have so much.
Limited.
I have a limited supply.
But you know what? I also think that, and maybe this is something I really need to work through, I think that sometimes I struggle having a certain level of intimacy with, I mean, I have very intimate relationships with my friends, but I think sometimes I have a hard time venturing into certain types of intimacy with friendships. And sometimes I feel like I have to have just very certain, and not sexual intimacy, but sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I'm seeking another romantic relationship because I can feel very intimate in a certain way with these types of partners.
I completely hear you.
Yeah.
And fully get you. I actually think one of the reasons that we got close very quickly is I think we're wired very similarly in that way.
Same kind of like boundaries.
And we have these boundaries where it's like I think we get each other in that way. I'm like, you know, I love you.
Yeah.
I know you love me. I have a hard time looking in my friend's eyes and being like, I need you to know how much. Now that's probably my own trauma.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I feel the same way.
I have, and I think that's why there was immediate safety in our relationship, is because I'm like, I don't need you to text me back right away. I don't need you to tell me certain things about how you feel about me because I can't give that to you.
And you don't have to worry about me
constantly.
hitting you up on this Saturday night after we've already hung out Wednesday.
No.
Or if I do, you know that it's cool. Like, you know,
And it's
just
and then we do this to each other. Bros, we do this to each other all the time. We always plan a night out. It happens all the time. And then we both, like an hour before, are both like,
more than once.
so, do we really want to go out? We're both kind of like in our pajamas at home.
Granted, logistically, I'm sure that we were 10 minutes away from each other. It
we're
would be
far
a little
away.
different.
We're
Whereas
far away.
I'm like the Uber.
And let's be
you
honest,
know.
it's literally me always be like, you want to come up here and go to a
Which I
comedy
do,
show
but-
like all the way in West Hollywood?
Maybe I need my LA apartment.
I think it's time for your LA
My
apartment.
LA apartment with my kids. We need to like be able to migrate back and forth.
Yes.
Anyway,
But no, I completely hear you in that way. I think
Yeah.
I think that might be, I don't know, it's an interesting thing to think about.
I have no problem with trust in my romantic relationships, generally speaking.
Yeah, me
I can
either.
like dive right in and 6 weeks later with my romantic partner be like,
Yeah.
I'm so open to
And
you.
I also feel like I can bounce back quick when there is
Yeah.
distrust in a romantic relationship.
I'm like, whatever, I'll find someone else.
No, it's like I'm like if when I've been hurt, it's like moving on to like the next person.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I carry that with me. I feel like I'm able to kind of, but with friendships, I don't feel that way.
I'm trying to bring that into more. I'm trying to bring more of the confidence I have romantically into like making friends. You know, I'm trying to like really be more intentional about like connecting with people and like being like, come over, like let's do things
Yeah,
together.
because that's the way that like they develop, I guess. I just the other day, straight up, this is so embarrassing. I had a full meltdown. I don't even remember where it started, but somehow it ended up me like crying at the kitchen table, being like, and when my friend did that in high school, it hurt so bad. And I just, the distrust.
no.
And Evan's just like, babe, that was like 17 years ago. But like, that's
So real.
That's the hurt that has stayed with me, is friendship hurt.
We were just talking about that actually, Gray and I, with some of his friends, and we were we were all hanging out together, and one of his friends was kind of clowning on his girlfriend, being like, yeah, and whenever those two girls are together, all they talk about is like the shit that when blah 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 cheated on her boyfriend, when, you know, and you're like, you guys were sophomores in high school. But then we were talking seriously about it, all of us were, and we're like, no, but those are really formative years where like deep impressions are made on you that
Yeah.
will last a lifetime. And the pain you feel like in high school and those times with betrayals and, you know, all those kind of things are very real, you know,
Yeah.
and can be very traumatic.
Yes, 1000%. I think also there's a part of like who potentially you seek validation from more. And I think I tend to care less what someone I'm sexually interested in thinks about me versus a person who I admire as a friend.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't think well of me without her? Fuck you.
No, it's literally just like, pff, you snooze, you lose. Bye, bitch. Like that's okay. But like when it's like, oh, someone that like I will seek specifically for me validation from female friendships, and it's like,
Totally.
so then there's that like guard, and like that's like the old hurt.
I definitely
Not so
have
much the
more of a tendency to
relationship.
get into unhealthier female friendships as well, codependent female friendships. Or
Yeah.
I used to, and I think now actually when it ventures even a little
Yeah.
bit in that way, I'm like,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
Yeah. I feel like that's maybe why I'm a little more of a hermit than I used to be, because it's literally like, it's like, okay, at this point in our lives too, with families and kids and like jobs,
Yeah.
you're a little bit like, okay, I only have a certain amount of time to give. So in a friendship, I need somebody who's understanding that like I'm not going to be the friend who can hang out with you always until like 3 a.m., spend the night at your house, and then go get
yeah.
brunch in the morning. Like I
yeah.
can't be that person.
I mean, that's why, honestly, maybe you can make some friends with some of Ember's classmates' moms, because mom friends have been some of my favorite friends, because
sure.
they don't, even if they have a past of being codependent, they don't got the time to be codependent anymore.
No.
So they're going to hit you up in the whatever off hours, and then you're like, oh yeah, maybe I have time next
you're like,
week on
sure,
Thursday, or
yeah.
and you come over.
And then like they'll bail on you and you'll bail
Yeah.
on them because it's like the kids, it's
it's
just a
all good.
nightmare day. I'm sorry, I just can't bring myself to get everybody dressed and to the park at that
Totally.
by that point.
Totally.
Yeah. that's definitely, and that's a grieving process too in life, where you're like, you go, because oh my God, there's nothing that I miss more on certain days. Like I adore my family, but like missing those days of like waking up on your friend's couch.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then, like,
I know.
And then like going to brunch and like then hanging out the whole rest of the day and meeting up with people and like that is so wonderful when it's happening. So I don't know. Maybe
the one
that's the
child.
thing. Hence the one child.
Get her out.
You're just like, Mama, it needs to go to brunch with all of her friends. All of a sudden, Ember's out of the house and Evan never sees me again. I'm just like, I have a lot to catch up on with some of my female
right now you're
friends.
like, I want to live close to Ember. And
Yeah,
then you're
I'm
like,
just like,
honey, no,
bye.
mommy has plans. Okay.
I have a girls' weekend for the rest of my life.
Honey, I could totally babysit. About a month, 6 weeks from now, Tuesday,
Yeah.
3:30.
Yeah. I have 2.5 hours, but I have a
that work?
Pilates class at 7, so make sure you're back. I can barely get this out because this rings so true in my life. Yikes.
Oh man.
The reality of it all.
Well, I gotta go because I have a personal trainer appointment. I
my
gotta
God.
get to.
Yes, are you in lifting?
I'm lifting,
Oh,
baby.
I want to get, when I watch
I
you
think
that.
you're gonna love it.
When I watch you do that, I'm like, that is some shit I want to get involved in.
Way more fun than working out. There's a lot less movement going on.
Yeah, I'm looking for like low impact.
It's very low impact.
Yeah.
So
I don't like that any of this HIIT bullshit. This high intensity training is just like, I can do that once and then I'm like, I'm good for the next year.
It's a certain kind of boring too to me. Don't like it. I don't like feeling I'm going to throw up, which does happen sometimes with when you're weight training.
I need to get into it. I want to become so strong.
I like a women's gym near here.
I need to.
Yelp it.
I want to
Get a
start
personal
to.
trainer.
I want to start to have the capacity to lift things and frighten people.
You're like, I want to lift Evan and throw him across the room.
I need a new party trick.
You're like
I need to
spinning
be
people
able
above your
to
head,
spin.
like George of the Jungle.
I need my Brendan Fraser moment. Well, Broads, happy 300th episode, Becca. Love you. Broads, we love you. I mean, if it wouldn't be possible.
We would not be here. I mean, I don't think we would be here if you
No,
guys
it's
weren't
like,
listening.
I love you so much, B, but like, if you all weren't listening, like,
We're getting together to talk 4 hours
I
a
don't
week.
think it would be at 300 yet.
No.
I think that's more of the situation. So we love you so much, Broads. Thanks for sticking with us.
Always supporting.
Wow. Always
loving.
supporting. Mwah,
Always
mwah, mwah.
living, laughing, and loving.
We love that for us and for you. And tune in on Thursday for a BIP recap and then the bros on Friday.
Chat soon.
Chat soon.